In this video, we're diving into 15 times comedians called out Hollywood for its wokeness and stood by it despite massive backlash.
I don't give a what people think. That's it.
1. Dave Chappelle. Netflix special Dave Chappelle has been at the forefront of calling out Hollywood's obsession with wokeness.
But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people.
In his Netflix special, The Closer, he took aim at cancel culture and the oversensitivity in Hollywood regarding gender identity. Chappelle didn't just crack jokes. He made it clear that comedians should be able to talk about anything, even if it's controversial. The backlash was instant, with many calling for Netflix to remove the special, but Dave stood his ground, reminding everyone that comedy is supposed to be uncomfortable sometimes. Despite protests, Netflix backed him up. Point 2. Bill Burr on SNL. Bill Burr's appearance on Saturday Night Live had the woke crowd furious when he mocked woke white women and the idea of canceling culture.
It's the worst. The fucking worst. It's all they do is bitch, moan, and complain. I had no idea how difficult it was to be a white woman in the United States of America. Evidently, it's really difficult.
Burr joked about how these women hijacked the movement and made it all about themselves, sparking a Twitter firestorm. The outrage didn't faze him. Burr has a history of challenging liberal Hollywood, and this was no exception. His attitude? If you're offended, then that's your problem, not his. Point 3. Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globe.
Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So, 5th time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. It just, no.
Ricky Gervais took no prisoners during his 2020 Golden Globes hosting gig. He roasted Hollywood elites for their hypocrisy, calling out their virtue signaling while working for massive corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Disney, which have questionable ethical practices. He straight up told them, "You're in no position to lecture the public about anything." The Hollywood bubble wasn't happy, but Gervais stood firm, stating he doesn't care about the backlash because he's not a part of that world. Point 4. Joe Rogan on the importance of free speech. Joe Rogan, known for his bold podcast opinions, has often criticized woke culture's stranglehold on comedy. He said that comedians are now scared to perform because of how easily they can get canceled over a joke.
But the general population, and whether you're conservative or whether you're liberal, everybody kind of agrees that racism is a stupid thing.
In multiple episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience, he's discussed how Hollywood's need to be politically correct is killing comedy. Rogan doesn't shy away from the fire, continuing to book controversial guests and talk about topics most are too afraid to touch. Point 5. Chris Rock on cancel culture.
What are your thoughts on the cancel culture? Like, you know, if you say something wrong, people will try to cancel you immediately. You know, you even see Ellen dealing with it with her workplace. It seems like it drove her crazy where she's like, you know what, I'm retiring. You know, so
yeah, I know. It's weird when you're a comedian because, like, when you're a comedian, when the audience doesn't laugh, that we get the message.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, you don't really have to cancel us because we get the message.
Right.
They're not laughing. Our feelings hurt.
Chris Rock has never been one to hold back his thoughts, and he's been very vocal about how cancel culture is ruining comedy. In interviews, Rock has said that it makes comedians afraid to try out new material, making the art form boring. He's unapologetic, pointing out how comedians are being punished for jokes made years ago, calling the whole thing ridiculous. He doesn't care about the consequences. He's more worried about comedy's survival. Point 6. Kevin Hart's Oscar debacle. Kevin Hart's situation with the Oscars is a perfect example of a comedian standing up against Hollywood's wokeness. After old tweets surfaced in which Hart made homophobic jokes,
there's a lot of goals that I have on my board. I got a vision board, and on that vision board is so many things that I want to do that I'll check off as they get done. And Oscars was up there. Oscars was one of the highest of highs simply because there hasn't been a lot of African-American comedians that have been able to do it. I would have been the 4th. So to get the moment, celebrate the moment, oh my God, I can't believe it's happened. And then the next morning, after a day full of congratulations and celebrations, I'm hit with an onslaught on social media of my past coming back up again.
He was pressured to apologize again, even though he had addressed them before. Hart chose to step down as the host rather than bend to the outrage mob. He acknowledged his past mistakes but refused to let the culture dictate how he should handle his own growth and career. Point 7.
Let's get on to South Park. For anyone, 20 years it's been now, and for anyone, there's an amazing documentary that you guys have done called 6 Days to Air. And funny enough, it actually followed.
Well, Gerald, I don't know if you can just talk to your son, but can we just admit this whole woke thing isn't working?
Their South Park episode, The Problem with Apu, which spoofed the controversies surrounding The Simpsons' Apu character, made it clear that they were tired of Hollywood's double standards. The duo has consistently refused to bow down to any pressure to make their comedy more sensitive, and they still aren't backing down.
Hey, what's going on? Is your girlfriend home?
She's sort of busy right now, Miss Swanson.
Just want to tell her no hard feelings about me winning the strong woman competition.
Point 8. John Cleese on wokeness killing comedy. John Cleese, the legendary Monty Python member, has been highly critical of wokeness, stating it's killing the creative process. In multiple interviews, Cleese has said that the fear of offending someone is making it impossible to create good comedy. He's openly mocked Hollywood's sensitivity, arguing that you can't produce something worthwhile if you're constantly worried about who might be upset. Point 9. Sarah Silverman's pivot on PC culture. Sarah Silverman once played a major role in pushing politically correct boundaries.
Is there anything that you feel like you regret doing as an artist, or is there anything you feel like you should have gone harder?
I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is like, I wish there wasn't the most racist version of blackface of me out there. I mean, that would be awesome, but I can't erase it. In this cancel culture, and we all know what I'm talking about, whether you think there is one or there isn't one, or where you stand on it, and there's a lot of gray matter there. But without a path to redemption, when you take someone, you found a tweet they wrote 7 years ago or a thing that they said, and you expose it and you say, this person should be no more, banish them forever, they're gonna find some place where they are accepted.
But now she's one of its biggest critics. She admitted that while she once contributed to the culture, it's now out of hand, especially when people dig up old tweets or jokes. Silverman spoke out after being fired from a film for a decade-old sketch, stating that Hollywood's punishment of artists for past mistakes is ridiculous. Despite losing gigs, she stood by her criticism. Point 10.
Yeah, I do this joke about the way people need to justify their cell phone. I need to have it with me because people are so important.
Right.
You know, I said, well, they don't seem very important the way you scroll through them like a gay French king. You know, it's just...
Jerry Seinfeld avoiding college's Jerry Seinfeld, who once refrained from being political, couldn't stay quiet about woke culture.
I do this joke about the way people need to justify their cell phone. I need to have it with me.
Execute this job is an essential part of it. Comedians complaining, oh, I can't do this joke now because so-and-so is going to be offended. That's right, you can't.
By jokes. Seinfeld has pointed out that younger audiences don't understand comedy's role in pushing boundaries, and he refuses to change his style to cater to overly sensitive crowds. Point 11.